Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We are considering the Tapa of Niyamas. The Tapa comes in all the four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. For Dharma, the Tapa becomes quite inevitable, necessary, essential. Artha also entails some form of tapa. So, Dharma Purti, Artha Purti, Kama Purti, and a Moksha Sadhana. Everywhere the tapa will be coming in some form or the other, and there are countless forms of tapas. So since there is tapas in Dharma, Artha, Kama, the third or the Purushartha, we easily identify Sakaama Tapas. And those who have aspirations, desires, bubbling desires, great aspirations, the only way is to be acquiring that goal by tapas. So the tapas will be of innumerable forms. Materialistic people have a kind of tapas. They work hard, they work intently, diligently, day in and day out. So the tapas will be coming in some form or the other: Sakaama Tapas, Nishkaama Tapas. In Dharma also tapas comes in so many forms. Vratavaikalya are forms of tapas which come in Dharma. Artha is again the desire fulfillment, gratification. So desire fulfillment also needs some kind of extraordinary endeavor. So there also the tapas comes in some form or the other, and in Mokshasadhana the tapas also comes in some form or the other. So the point is, the tapas will come to sattvic people, rajasic people, tamasic people. The tapas will come in materialism and transcendent, which is spiritualism. And therefore the tapas is of multi colors and multi forms. Now usually a tapasvi means the tapasvi is quite hard like diamond. His antakaranam is also very hard and tough. But when it comes to Paramarthika Tapas, the tapas in spiritual endeavor, at some stage when it goes closer to spiritual goal, or when it is essentially for spiritual goal, the tapas should be totally different. It cannot make a person adamantine hard. The person cannot be dogmatic. Whereas the tapas should be something which radiates fearlessness. The tapas which radiates compassion. So it should be understood that Paramarthika Tapas and Laukika Tapas are of two opposite kinds. Those who are in Laukik Tapas, then these people radiate heat, radiate parch, radiate adamantine hardness. While in Paramartha, the tapas is almost like butter. So, non-yogic pursuits, when they adhere to tapas, they become adamantine hard, they become rock-like. But in spiritual process, at some stage, it becomes soft like flour and butter. I recall a verse from Srimad Mahabharatam Shanti Parva, the 12th Parva, 12.36.10. It says that one who is in spiritual path, he is with santosha, remaining contented whatever comes one way due to destiny, and the person is satisfied to be in that state which the destiny offers. He doesn't want to change that, and he is contented in that. So that is how the tapas is in spiritual path. There is no Artha Purushartha and Kama Purushartha. Therefore, the tapas has totally different characteristics. And in such tapas there is Aparigraha. We have considered Aparigraha while dealing with yamas. So also, Mahabharata mentions certain qualities which go hand in hand with such tapas or such tapasya, that is Daanam, Adhyayanam. So certain qualities are mentioned, noble qualities, and there the tapas gets mentioned. Daana, Adhyayan, Tapas, Ahimsa, Satya, Akrodha, Yagnika Vritti. These are Dharmalakshanas, and therefore these should be found in a class of tapas. That there is Ahimsa, there is Akrodham, that is non-anger, Yagnika Vritti, sacrificial nature, Aparigraha, Dana Vritti, Adhyayanam, Moksha Adhyayanam. So these are characteristics of tapas which come in spiritual realm. The Mahabharata also mentions the Ashtavida Dharma Prapti. There are 8 ways to attain what is called as Dharma. So it says Yajna, Adhyayanam, Danam, Tapas, Satyam, Kshama, Indriya Nigraha, and Nirlobhi Vritti. These are ways of attaining Dharma. So Dharma Marga is characterized by these qualities such as Yajnadhyayanam, Yajnam and Adhyayanam, Vedadhyayanam, Shastradhyayanam, Yajna principle, Dana principle, and of course tapas. So also Satya, truthfulness, and to live in truth and to practice truth and not to depart from truth. So also Kshama, pardoning nature, Indriya Nigraha, control over the senses so they are not crazy and cranky. Then Nirlobhata, desirelessness. So these are the ways to attain Dharma. So it should be noted that one of these 8 is tapas. Tapasa prapyate dharmam. So this is what Mahabharata mentions in the Udyoga Parva, in the 35th chapter and 56th verse. So the point is, tapas would come in so many forms. I recall Mahanarayana Upanishad has a beautiful concept of tapas. It mentions certain collocation of qualities, guna samuchaya. Collocation of qualities are mentioned to characterize tapas. So the Mahanarayana Upanishad in the 10th Prapataka of it, it says Rutam tapa, Satyam tapa, Shrutam tapa, Shantam tapo, Damas tapa, Shamas tapa, Danam tapo, Yagnyam tapo, Bhur bhuvaha suvaha Brahma iti upasyaitad tapaha. So it shows the various facets of tapas. And because of these various facets, we can understand the tapas which comes in Chaturvida Purusharthas or Dvivida Purusharthas, Bhoga Apavarga, or mundanity and spirituality. So it encompasses all the various forms of tapas. So one should reflect over this statement from Mahanarayana Upanishad. Basically, the tapas is to tame, control, regulate and reform Deha, Manas and Indriyas, body, mind and senses. This is a major or primary meaning of tapas. The tapas primarily is of the nature of regulating, controlling body tendencies, mental tendencies and sensory tendencies. So Niyantranam, Niyojanam, Niyamanam is major signature condition rather of tapas. And there must be some amount of discretion. The tapas, although it is hailed, one must be very careful in adhering the tapas. Otherwise, if that balance is lost in austerities, in the restraints, exercising the control, if that discretion is lost, the balance is lost, then a tapasvi would easily become explosive person, highly inflammable person, would become almost a volcano. He would become of angry nature, exasperating nature, intolerant nature, also would become himsaka, would be more vulnerable to committing himsa. So the tapas, when it loses the mathematics and proportion and propriety, it can be also dangerous. So it makes a person explosive person. So the tapas is no doubt a restraint, as we just now saw, restraint over body tendencies, mind tendencies and sensory tendencies. That must be with some mathematics, discretion and judiciousness. Otherwise, it can rebound and would have devastating effects. So also other characteristics are there, and one must be beware of these when in tapas, when adhering to tapas, when embracing tapas. One tends to look down upon others. This tendency comes up for one who is in austerities, one who is an austere person. He tends to belittle others. And therefore the result is to offend other people, to insult other people, to hurt other people. So this would become quite natural due to tapasya, and therefore care needs to be taken when the tapas is adhered to. Tapas has to be adhered because we have been told yajna, dana, tapas are the ones which purify the mankind. But particularly in tapas, if one is indiscreet, injudicious, and goes overboard, then such a person would be antagonizing the society, antagonizing the people around, and would be a problem to people around. Because such person looks down upon others, treats them as meager worms. He thinks that he is well restrained and the others are just worms and creatures, and therefore ends up in offending them, insulting them. So this care needs to be taken when the tapas is in Paramartha. So it is probable out of fever for austerity, there can be feverish tapasya, and therefore it can become aviveki, indiscreet, indiscriminate. It can become excessive, atireki. And this excessive sharira tapa makes a man exceptionally volcanic and explosive. So much so that they do not only parch and burn others, they will also parch and burn to ashes their own merits. Whatever merits they have earned in their life, they will also be rendered into ash. Not only that they parch and burn others, they parch their own merits. They burn their merits to ashes. And therefore care must be taken. Otherwise we will be burning out the whole baggage of our own merits which have accumulated over a period of time or over several lives, and therefore one must be very careful about adhering to tapas, being in tapas, because tapas can more often become a fever, and when it becomes a fever, person becomes indiscreet, indiscriminating. Now in this respect I recall a verse in Srimad Ramayanam 7.59.222. So it says, man when he performs tapas or is in tapas, he does perform satkarmas such as yajanam, danam and all kinds of meritorious deeds. He also accumulates virtue. So these are positives of tapas. But when the tapas results into burning, something like fireball, krodham, then such a tapasvi destroys all merits which have been accumulated. And therefore one must be very careful to see that while in tapas, the anger is not triggered, exasperation is not triggered, then discontent is not triggered, superiority complex is not triggered, belittling others is not triggered, looking down upon others is not triggered. This care must be taken while one is in tapas. So that's a very important advice that comes in Srimad Ramayanam. It is to be seen that the tapas is a sadguna. The tapas is by sadguna, tapas is for sadguna, tapas is always in sadguna. Ahimsa, satya, brahmacharya, aparigraha should be taken care to see that they are perfectly under care. So also nirlobhata, having no greed. And there must be that indriya nigraha and one must be Shanti Brahma. One must be personified Shanti. This care should be taken while one is in tapas. Otherwise, it is all probable that one is not in Shanti, one is in Ashanti. Now sometimes this question comes up in Dharma Marga when one is very straightforward, candid, simple, modest, temperate. We tend to feel that such a person cannot be withstanding the world that we are in. Such a person is seen to be, or is inferred that such a person cannot be taking self-care. The person is too virtuous, too straightforward, too simple, too moderate, too temperate. We think such a person will perish in this world. And therefore, one gets this doubt in the mind, how one will be protected if one is Shanti Brahma, one is very simple, one is very moderate, temperate, and embracing all virtues such as Satya, Dharma. So if somebody thinks that if one is absolutely uncompromisingly in Dharma and in Satya, in Ahimsa, such person would perish. Who would protect such a person? And we think that such a person is really without any protection. And to be protecting oneself, one thinks that we must be having some sin potential, some ill tendencies, bad tendencies, etc. Because if you are totally in truth, you will perish. If you are totally in virtue, you will perish. So virtuous people are seen to be non-self-sustaining. And many times the logic also concurs with such an idea or such a dictum rather. This is not true. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Manu, in Manu Dharma Shastra says, you might feel that you are unprotected by being on a very virtuous path, Dharma Marga, Dharma Pantha. You think that you won't sustain yourself. You will be losing your way, your existence even, not only your way but your existence. But Manu says that's not true. Dharma will protect those who protect Dharma. This is the marvelous principle about Dharma. So therefore one need not be fearing about living a life of an ascetic. Many times people think that asceticism is praised, but then to be an ascetic, it seems to be self-annihilating. In this world you cannot be an ascetic. People will swallow you. People will finish you. And therefore many times innocent, naive person has this feeling that who will protect one who is trying to be in Dharma? And therefore Manu tells about Dharma principle. It says, one who protects Dharma will protect that person 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. And therefore the path of Dharma is not fraught with danger. And therefore those in Tapasya should take care to see that Dharma is not violated. What is the point in adhering to Dharma when Dharma is blown to air? And Ramayana stresses on this Dharma. As a matter of fact, Sri Rama is incarnation of Dharma. And therefore lot of dimensions about Dharma get exposure in Srimad Ramayana. And therefore it is said that those who want to be in Dharma Marga should be reading, studying, understanding, assimilating Srimad Ramayana and Sri Rama Rahasya, Sri Rama Charitam, that's best guide to be in the path of Dharma. What is Dharma will be divulged by Dharma, by Rama. How to be in Dharma will be divulged by Rama. So Rama is said to be Dharmo Vigrahavan. He is a Vigrahavan Dharma. He is an icon of Dharma. He is personification of Dharma. So Srimad Ramayanam hails Dharma. And I recall a verse from Srimad Ramayanam where Maharshi Valmiki says that while Sri Rama was in exile in the forest, he met so many rishis, maharshis, mahanubhavas, mahantas, great people. He did serve many great people, sages and seers. And one of them gave him an advice which comes in 3.1.21. He says, "Hey Rama, we all have become what we are by Akrodha Sanyamanam. We controlled our anger. That is how we became what you call as Mahanubhavas, Mahantas. Our greatness is because of our conquest of Krodha, Krodha Sanyamanam, Krodha regulation, and also Indriya Damanam, restraint of senses. So by keeping the Krodha, anger under control, and by Indriya Sanyamanam, we have been protecting our prana, our life. But we give more importance to Dharma sadhana than even prana dharana. At times we will not bother about our sustenance, but we will bother about Dharma. We will bother about our Krodha Sanyamanam, our Indriya Damanam. It is given priority over our prana dharana, our protection of our own prana. Just as mother protects her womb, Garbha, similarly you will have to protect us. So there we come to know Rama is Vigrahavan Dharma. Rama is manifestation of Dharma. And therefore the Maharshi says, Rama, we will not bother to protect ourselves. It is you who has to protect ourselves. Like the life in womb is protected, you will have to protect us. The life in womb doesn't protect itself. It has to be protected. So also you will have to protect us. So the point is, the Dharma Marga is seen to be not self-sustaining for materialistic people, and therefore many of them say it is adharma that protects us. We take recourse to asatya, therefore we are saved. If we do not compromise with asatya, we would perish. And that's why the materialistic people get the feeling that adharma protects, asatya protects, steya protects. So going by tendencies is the way to protect. Otherwise we are not protected. But Dharma says that I am your protector. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. This Dharma, about Dharma, it comes in the Srimad Vishnu Divya Sahasranam Stotram, Achara Prabho Dharmaha Dharmasya Prabhurachyutaha. So one who is on the path of Dharma, Achyuta will protect him. The Supreme will protect. Now if the Supreme is protecting, nobody can really find a breakthrough in that protection. Anyway, coming to Dharma Swarupa, we understand the tapas is an important ingredient to be in the path of Dharma. You cannot be not Tapasvi and be in the path of Dharma, because Dharma will give you testing times so that the tapas will become imperative, and then the Dharma is ultimately going to save you as well, protect you as well. It is because of tapas that you can cross over, you can go past your desires, your greeds, your lust, your tendencies, and only with these you can be in the path of Dharma. You can't say, I will be a licentiate person but yet a virtuous person. This is impossible. There's a paradox in it. Anyway, coming to our tapas, the prasiddhartha, the main meaning of tapas is, it is a major hold on to something. It is hold on in Paramartha, Yoga, Dharma, Karma, Jnana, Upasana. So these are all virtuous practices which mankind should take up. So Paramartha, spirituality, Yoga, Dharma, Karma, Jnana, Upasana. Without tapas, all these practices will be semblance, ostentatious, and will be deceiving and deceptive. They will also be unfructifying. They will become meaningless. The point is, one need not bother about being in the path of Dharma as to how I will be protected. The protection is there. Dharma itself protects you. So now we must try to understand this multifaceted tapas. Now we are embarking upon this tapas as to how it is multifaceted, multidimensional. And the best scripture to turn to is Bhagavad Gita. No scriptural statement, no scriptural text has this kind of delineation on tapas. So we are going to look into Bhagavad Gita to crystallize the tapas conceptually, because so far we have not really crystallized the concept of tapas, and in order to crystallize the concept of tapas we will have to look to Bhagavad Gita, which is the best text, Shastra. So I will just mention little brief outline to it, and we will proceed to the concept of tapas that comes in Bhagavad Gita in our next session. So tapas is mentioned as kayik, vachik, manasik. Kayik means instrumentation of body, vachik means instrumentation of speech, and manasik means instrumentation of manas. So tapas can be taking place with these instruments such as body, speech and mind. Then these are the instruments. Qualitatively the tapas can be sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. So there you will know which tapas is to be adhered and which is to be not adhered. So if we try to understand the concept of tapas with the help of analysis given in Bhagavad Gita, we will be able to crystallize tapas. So in the next session we will try to understand kayik, vachik, manasik tapas, and sattvic, rajasic, tamasic tapas. So that will give some basis for us to crystallize the concept of tapas. So enough for the time being. We'll proceed in opening out the concept of tapas in our next session based on Bhagavad Gita. So enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.